For those who don't know what just happened in the beginning of this video, that was me abducting you in my own special way. My name is Mercy, and I'm your alien leader for today. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And you are now on my spaceship. And you now have to listen to me talk about whatever I want to talk about for however long as I want to talk about. That's what happens when I'm the alien leader. I'm the AIC, okay? Okay. Now, for those who live under a rock or those who live in homophobic Alabama, you may not know that this is June, aka gay month. And if you don't know, if you couldn't tell, I partake in gay month, okay? I know a thing or two about a gay month, and I decided to come up here and start my little gay month channel series where I just talk about like gay things or like gay things relating to me. You'll see as the time goes on. It's gonna be very festive for the month of June. I'll let you know that, okay? Now I decided that it would be a great way to start this month by going over my non-binary like gay story, like me navigating like, bitch, do I like girls, yes or no, like like all the gay tests that I have taken within the ages of like 7 till 15 have all amounted to this moment of me explaining my gay timeline, me realizing that I was one bisexual, and then me realizing two that I am non-binary. Now, if you have not been online, you would not know that there has been like this renaissance of people being like, oh yeah, me in 2020 and like me in like 2026, and it's like them being like, Z, Zer, Faith, and they, them, he, him, like pronouns. They got the dyed hair. They look very like 2020 and all that, and then it cuts to them looking like fucking Gracie Abrahams, and then they're like, "Now I go by she, her, and I like that was a phase. Like I don't do that anymore. Haha, me then versus me now." Which like fine. Like I'm not here to shame people who like detransition and all that, but there's a certain like kick to those videos. I feel like people are kind of making it seem like, oh yeah, like it was just a phase. Like I just don't get why promote something like that in times where being gay, being trans is very under fire. Like you could dead ass lose your life for that shit. But here you go making a video. I don't understand people not being able to read the room in that sense. Like all this catastrophe is going on and you think it's best for you to post a video about when you were trans versus like now. Like maybe if you did that in like 2019, maybe when you did that in like 2023, maybe it's 2026. We under a Trump regime, okay? I don't know. Is that the word regime? Regime? We under Trump MAGA baby. And you thought it was best to like, spread that awareness, like of all the things you could spread. But let's not stay on that too long because I'm not here to talk about them. Okay, I'm here to talk about me. This is a channel about me, okay? And when it comes to talking about me, I feel like it's best to talk about my early upbringings on how I viewed being gay, how my family taught me about, licking booty hole and like, if you could dance with girls, if you couldn't dance with girls. So growing up on my mama's side, I had two very flamboyantly gay uncles. And my mom had me watching RuPaul's Drag Race growing up. So it wasn't really given homophobia. It wasn't really giving like, everybody gay, but some people were gay. And I thought my uncles were like the only gay ones. And then I watched Modern Family and I was like, oh no, other people have like gay uncles and shit. So I just grew up with the knowledge that like only men can be gay. But don't get me wrong, that didn't stop shit over here. Okay. I had my first ever crush on my preschool teacher, and I'll never forget. There was one time where she like disappeared for a long time. I don't know where the fuck she went, but she disappeared. And then she came back. And she came back and then we all ran up to her and hugged her. And I, of course, was so happy. I saw her, ran up to that lady and gave her a kiss on her cheek. I gave her a kiss on her fucking cheek, and that's that. I'll never forget the amount of embarrassment that waved over me because she was like, "Uh oh," like she was like, "Oh, we giving kisses on cheeks." Like she probably thought it was like me being a little kid who was like being sweet and all that. No, I wanted that. I wanted a piece of that. I was 4 years old and I knew. So I kissed her on the cheek, and then I was embarrassed because she was like very caught off guard. I mean, like yeah, and that's when I was like, "Oh, this isn't normal." Not that being gay wasn't normal, but how I was performing it, that wasn't normal. But then I that didn't stop me. That did not stop me, okay? Because by the time I was like 6 years old, I told my friend, now I was like a sleepover with my friend at the time, and she and I were playing, house, as you do. You probably know where this is about to go. And I would always like to play the daddy during house. I don't know why. I just like being like the masculine role that like brought home the bread. So I told her I want to be the daddy and she could be the mommy. And she was like, okay. We're having a sleepover, and I told her, mind you, at this time I had like learned what sex was. I don't know if I can say it, but like my parents explained to me what the birds and the bees were. In my 6-year-old brain, I thought that it was just like kissing someone really hardly, and my mama was like, no, that's not what that was. So she told me what it was, and I told the girl, I was like, you know what mommies and daddies do? And she's like, what? And I was like, they have sex. And I told her we had to have I told her we had a hat. And then she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." So like we start kissing. And then her mama like walks in on us kissing underneath the covers and her mom pulls it back. I remember her mom saying, I wonder what they're doing. And then she pulled the fucking covers off of us and we were kissing and she screamed. I'll never forget it. She screamed and then she made us sleep on two different beds. She made me sleep on the couch and I was really embarrassed. I was so fucking embarrassed. Like I was just praying to God that she didn't tell my mom. I don't think she did tell my mom, which I don't know why she didn't tell my mom, but she didn't tell my mom that I know of. And that's when I realized like, ooh, I like smooching girls. I think I'm feeling a little bi-curious, okay? In the words of Cats the musical, I was in my rum tug tugger phase, okay? I was a curious cat, okay? A little curious kitten, as you can say. And it just kept going on. I just kept kissing girls. I just kept kissing girls. But then randomly when I was 11 years old, my dad decided that we are Christians. Mind you, my mom, we were not religious growing up. You guys, I was not baptized as a baby.
Okay, I'm coming in because I realized in the video I kind of made it seem like my dad was homophobic. My daddy is not homophobic, okay? If I equate homophobia or me thinking being gay is not okay to like my dad and religion, I'm mainly equating it to like going to church with my dad and then at church they're like being gay is a sin and like you're going to hell and shit like that. But I want to come here and be like, I didn't want to like, and I also bring up like my mom's religion and my mom's religious views a lot in this video. I just wanted to say that no one in this video's religious views that I've mentioned are the same. Many people's religious views have evolved. Some of it has like gone deeper in what it is. Some of it, I don't want to put someone's business online and I didn't get their consent. And religious views are, business that is not mine. And I don't want to put that on the internet. Also, what was I gonna say? So very much take this video with a grain of salt. Take it as like a time frozen like 2015, like everyone's religious views or everyone's religious placement in like 2015. So I don't wanna put that out there that, I just wanted to say that.
And whenever I ask her about like why do we not do like, religious things like I see other people do, she would just be like, we just don't do that. And when I was 11 years old, he decided that he was gonna go full on Christian mode, like crosses in the house. We going to church, we read the Bible. I grew up, I saw that, and I was like, heard, we don't like gay people. We don't like the gays, okay? So that really impacted my mindset because growing up, I knew at this point that I liked women. I knew I liked men as well, but I knew I liked women because I had experiences with other girls. And then you're in this weird paradox where it's like, oh, I was being gay this whole time and there was no issue. It was also the year that like Obama legalized gay marriage and people were mad as fuck. And I was like, I didn't know that there was something wrong with being gay. Like, I never heard that like you couldn't be gay because of religion and all that because I didn't grow up in a religious household until I was 11. And then the same summer that I went to go visit my dad, and he was like, "We're religious now," and I was like, They also legalized gay marriage, and I was in the South, and the people in the South were mad as fuck. So you're passing by, in the car, you're just seeing like these random protests about like how being gay is a sin, and you're in like your frontal lobe development stage like, wait, I like girls, I'm a little gay. Oh, I can't be gay. Okay. And It's like it was a week. It was so confusing for me. So I became like so ashamed of myself. I tried to rinse that gay off. I tried to pray the gay away. I would literally, you guys, at night I would go to bed and I would pray and I would be like, please stop making me like girls. Like please, like I do not want to go to hell and burn in the fiery pits. Okay, so then I turned 13. I turned 13 and I decided, you know what? I have damaged hair. I don't like wearing tight clothing because I'm starting to develop more in like the chest and hip and booty area. I'm like I don't want people looking at me. So I started dressing like a boy. Started dressing like baggy clothes, very Billie Eilish, very 2000s, wearing like my dad's, old clothes because he had like lost a lot of weight at the time. So I'm just dressing like a man at this point. And I shaved my head because my hair was damaged and people thought I was transitioning, and I was not. But they were they knew something that I didn't. They knew something that I didn't because little did I know years later. But that's for down the line. Okay, we're at 13 right now. So I shaved my head. People thinking I'm trans, and people are coming up to me and being like, "Oh, you're not trans? Well, then you're androgynous." And I was like, "What's androgynous?" And then they'd be like, "Oh, that's when like you can't really tell if someone's a boy or a girl. Like, you're gay." And I'd be like, "No." And they were like, "Yes, you are." And I'd be like, "No." And a big factor of this had to do with the fact that I didn't like wearing jewelry. Like straight up, if you looked at me, you just thought I was like a fat little boy. So I was like, just because I dress like a boy, and just because my voice is deep, and just because I don't wear jewelry, and just because like all my celebrity crushes are women, that does not make me gay. I was like we need to break stereotypes, which I get it. Like on some woke shit, like I was the wokester at 13 because when you think about it, it doesn't make sense that like if I look like a boy and act like a boy and dress like a boy, but I still identify as a girl, who gives a fuck? Like that doesn't mean that I'm gay. I can still be a straight woman and do those things, which, like, in my opinion, that can be true. But for me, they were right. I was gay. So I was so in denial and I started like pushing myself to find men more attractive. Only men, I have to think about them. And I got like hella into K pop boy group specifically. Shout out to Yoongi from BTS. I showed my friend a picture of Yoongi, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like this is the first person that like got me into like K-pop. Like I saw him and I fell in love." And then he looked at me and he said, "Mercy." I said, "Yeah." He said, "This looks like a girl. You are." I said, "What?" He said, "This looks like a girl." So the first K-pop idol that I get into, that's a boy. He looks like a girl, and like that's just kind of how K-pop goes. I feel like a lot of gay people who are like, insecure about being gay, I feel like they go to K-pop because it's just boys looking like girls. Like tell me one bin from Rise don't look like a girl. Don't tell, like everybody. There's always gonna be one little masculine member, but the prettiest, cutest, most fanciest, the one with the most blush on their face, that's the one that I was buying, seeing. So that says something about me. So now we're gonna transition, no pun intended. We're gonna transition to when I was 16, and I couldn't hide it at this point. You guys, it was crawling out of me. It was crawling out of me. So, like I said, I was a K-pop fan, right? Okay. Let's say this person finds this. That would be interesting. But I'm about to tell you about the first girl I had a crush on, like eyes to eyes, like in my teenage years. We're gonna call her Lemonhead. So I had went to like this little K-pop event when I was 15. I was just about to turn 16, but this is like right before the pandemic. So like my birthday's in February. Pandemic happened like March, so we were still outside, okay? So this is like January, February. And I went to like this little K-pop event and I met this girl and her name, like we said, we're gonna call her Lemonhead. I met Lemonhead and Lemonhead was everything to me. Like it's not even like I found her attractive, don't get me wrong. But it was one of those things where it's like the more I got to know her, like the more I just like fell for her. And that's when I realized like I feel for her the way that I feel for the boys that I have crushes on in school. I feel for her the way I feel when I look at Yoongi from BTS. I felt nervous, I felt shaky, I felt like, oh my god, like I'm gay. And that I sound optimistic and happy about it right now. In the moment, I was so not happy about that shit. Like I said, I was still like under religion at this point with my father. We have been religious for about 5 years now. I was of the belief that like gay people aren't going to hell, but like I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to be gay and go to hell just in case. So I was still in denial. I was still very in denial. But she Lemonhead completely changed that trajectory for me, and I will never forget that feeling. I don't talk to her Lemonhead anymore just because I feel like when the moment I was just so upset about it that I didn't want to like be in contact with her or anything like that. And then it was like later confirmed that I had a crush on her because when I was about like 18, I went to my other Instagram, like my old little K-pop Instagram, and I saw that I still followed her up there, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I followed you on this account. And she got a girlfriend. She like posted something like "Happy 2 years," yada yada yee, and then my body, you guys, I was filled with fucking rage. I was so mad. I was so mad. I was like, not my first love. Like how you lose the good ones, the one that got away, like the one that got away. I couldn't believe it, and I was distressed, and I was like, ugh, but I'm still not gay though. At this point, I was like on my Harry Styles shit. I was like, I don't have a label on my sexuality. Like I'm doing me. I'm doing what I want. You know, we gonna see still at this point. But also at this time, I had started questioning religion because I was like reading the Bible. Because at this point, my dad was like, "Oh, you should read the Bible," and I read the Bible, and the first Bible story is about like Adam and Eve. And if you read Adam and Eve, you know that's some bullshit. Like, what do you mean women have to fucking be under their husbands for the rest of their lives because fucking Eve ate an apple that Adam told her about or something like that? I don't. And then it was like it was just some bull, and I was like, the fuck, like what am I believing in? So then I became like a believer of Christianity, but I didn't believe the Bible because I started like making sense of that too. I was like, how did God write this? And it's right here in my face in English. That doesn't make any sense. I don't believe that the world isn't full of people who are manipulative enough that they wouldn't manipulate this Bible. Also, at 12 years old, we had like learned in science class that they put in the Bible that black people deserve to be slaves because something with like black people are demons or something like that. That was apparently in the Bible. And at 12 years old in science class, we learned about that and how that was put in the Bible and how after slavery they took it out the Bible. And I was like, wow, if they can just put shit in the Bible and take shit out the Bible. That's kind of fucking weird. So I at this point like it's all boiling down and I'm like, you know what, that book, I don't know her. I don't know who wrote that book, but I believe in God, Jesus, and that's they're going to be on my side. So that's where I was at 16. Then we get to 18 and I can't help it. Not it's simmering out of me at this point. I had a first boyfriend at 17 years old, and I it was doing really well. I really liked him, but there it was interesting because he just had like such a stinge of like manlyhood on him. Like he was just the type of guys to go out and like party and like care about like weights and like basketball and stuff. And I was like, you know, more power to you, but like, that I didn't want to talk to him about that stuff. He would talk to me about like WWE and all that, and I was like, wow, like I really don't fucking care, honestly. And I did find him attractive, but like it was a level of like, you know, it was just like a layer that I was like, I find you attractive, but like I don't know. Like so I'm 18 at this point. Season 2 of Euphoria had came out, and there's a scene where they're showing like Jules and Jules and Rule, what the fuck? They were showing Jules and Rue, and they were in different stages of like movies. I don't know. There was a scene of them dressed as Brokeback Mountain, and if you know anything about Brokeback Mountain, it's about gay men. But Jules and Rue were dressed as two masks in that scene, and I will never forget. I'll never forget how that scene made me feel. I'll never forget how that scene made me feel. I paused that. I paused that episode. I texted my boyfriend that moment. I said I like girls too. I said I think I'm a bi, and he was like, "Oh, really? Like X, Y, and Z?" Like he was like, "I totally did not suspect that from you," which I'm kind of shocked about. I mean, at the time, I was given like straight. Before that, I wasn't giving straight, but like at the time, I was given straight. So, you know, so he was kind of shocked. He was like, "Oh, I didn't expect that from you." And he was like actually really supportive about it, and yada yada yada. And he was like, "Wait, does this mean like our relationship's ending?" And I was like, "No." But I should have ended it because then he cheated on me. But and so I was like, we can still be together, but I like girls, and just had to let you know. So that was in about like March or February that I let him know that. That was the first person that ever came out to. Then fast forward to June, I posted, I don't know, I think at this point I was just like fed the fuck up of like keeping it in. I just posted on my Instagram story some meme about like eating coochie, and everyone, bitch, everyone swiped up. Like, you think when you come out, like, no one's gonna care like that? Like, everyone can saw this from a mile away. At this point, everyone, like, all my friends, everyone, if someone met me through someone, the first thing they're gonna ask is Mercy gay? And the friends would always have to tell them no. And then the friends would be like, "Are you sure?" Like, that's everyone meeting me, asking me if I'm gay. I'm like, "No." They're like, "Are you sure? Because you give gay." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is." I'm wearing this little like gay pin on my lanyard that would like take me with me to school so I can, get in my house. And it had a little gay flag on it. And they would ask me about that, and I'd be like, "Oh, like, it's just for, like, allyship, allyship." It always starts there. "It's just for allyship and X, Y, and Z." And then everyone else was like, "Okay, okay." Like, sure. So I post on my story when I was like 18, like something about eating coochie, and then everybody give a fuck. Like, I did not expect that many people to swipe up. And they were like, "I knew it." It wasn't even like a whole like, "Oh, you're gay?" Like, I had no clue. It was like a, well, about fucking time. Like, the closet has been clear as hell. Like, the closet has been cleared. People are spraying Windex on it and like shining it every single day. Like, everybody can see that. Everybody can see that I was gay but me and my boyfriend at the time. So I that was kind of overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. It is something about coming out that you think that no one gives a fuck, and then, like I said, everyone just gives a fuck. So that was an experience. I'll tell you that. But at this time, I'm still like indecisive. Like, I knew I liked girls, but I didn't know to what extent I liked girls, and I wasn't really comfortable with dating girls just because I didn't like the way it looked. And I know that sounds like bad, but think about it. Someone who grew up religious, at this point, I was still religious at 18, but like I said, I was not believing in the Bible, so I didn't care that like I was gay. And I didn't like disown religion until I was about 19 years old. So at this time, we're still like in that phase, and I just don't want a girlfriend, you guys. Like, I knew I was gay. I knew I couldn't hide it. At this point, like, everything had boiled up to it. We had no other choice but to be led here, and I was sad. And I thought if I dated a girl, people would see me and they treat me like a lesbian. I thought that I would be hate crime more than I already was because I was black, and then in the school that I went to, it was a white neighborhood. So I thought that it was just like adding on problems, like drawing more attention to myself if I ever had been in a relationship with a girl. Battling compet at this point, like, honestly. So I know I'm gay, but I'm still forcing myself to like boys. Interesting. Not uncommon, but interesting. So then I go to college, and then I'm around a bunch of gay bitches. Like, I don't know, I just naturally attracted the gay people to be my friends. So I'm hanging with the gay people and I'm talking to them. And I'm talking to them about how I feel like I never want to be in a relationship with a woman under the age of 25 because I felt like being in a relationship with a woman seems very serious. And then my friend who was a lesbian at the time, we're gonna call her we're gonna call her Cranberry. Cranberry's like, "What?" Cranberry's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, I feel like men are more, like, easier for short term because I don't see myself getting married to a man, but I saw myself getting married to a woman." And I was like, "I feel like if I start a relationship with a woman, like, it's gonna be very serious, very intense, and I don't think I can handle all that." And then she was like, "I think you're a lesbian." She straight up she straight up was like, "You need to read the lesbian doctrine because I think you're a lesbian." So now we're in our lesbian questioning era, which listen, it lasted from what, the ages of 18 till now. I still don't know if I'm a lesbian. I still think that I could be a lesbian. I still think I could be a lesbian, but if someone from N-Hypen come up in here, then I'm not repping that flag. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I still kind of keep one foot in it, one foot out of it. Also, I have no problem with dating like a cis man who wasn't straight. And even if he's like flamboyant or anything like that, like, I have absolutely not an issue. So maybe I should read more about lesbianism, but I don't think I'm a lesbian. I just identify with being bi. Also, the bi flag is like really cute. So that's why we're over there. And the reason why I'm not pan, because I started thinking about that too. I was like, why are some people like pan and some people are like bi? But a lot of my pan friends have just told me that they don't think about gender when they like date, and I feel like I do. I think about gender a lot when I date, especially now that I'm like non-binary. I'm like, how do you identify? Like, what's your relationship with your gender? That's something that's very much on the table. I need to know that right now. I need to see that relationship you have with yourself in that way. And I can't, like, we can't get past each other. We can't get past the point if you can't tell me why you identify with your gender, what's your gender, X, Y, Z. So because gender is a very important factor of who I date and like my little testing thing, I don't identify with pansexual because pansexuals are just like we just date, bitch. Like we don't do all that complicated shit. We just date. Me, I'm different. So I identify with being bisexual, maybe a lesbian down the line, but who the fuck knows? Now we get into the meat and potatoes of it all. The most important topic I want you guys to focus on was our chapter where we were talking about gender and why gender was created. Now, I'm not about to get a whole history lesson because it was the reason why I was a class, okay? I'm not being. But basically, it was just saying that gender was a man made thing. Everything about gender is constructed. The reason why women identify so hard with women is because it was pushed on them to see a certain light and sisterhood and womanhood so they can still carry out the needs that men want women to do. So like have a baby, sit the fuck down and make my food. Like basically that. Like be your my bitch. That's why gender was made. And then men just wanted like men to like, be prideful and like happy and shit so they can like be in war and die. So we were like learning about that. And it made me think like, I don't I don't like that. I don't really I don't really fuck with that. I'm just identifying with this thing that these white men created so I can know my place. And then also something that was really interesting in the article where it was talking about how women just innately see themselves as second to men because of how we're portrayed in society. Like a big example that they used was what religion, how Adam and Eve are structured, male man, the milkman, everything is man, 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 man. And they were basically discussing how they feel there's no way women just can't see themselves as the second human. And I chewed on that. That really gave me some food for thought because at some point, like I heard it and I was like, absolutely not. Like I don't see myself second to no man. But then when you sit down, you really think about it. You let your pride and your ego go away, and you're like, we as a collective do kind of see ourselves as like second to men. Oh my god, my friend is like texting me the tea right now. I'm recording a video. I can't read the tea because I'm recording for you guys. But I didn't fuck with that, and I was like, that's some food for thought. But then eventually, I had to write my final essay for that class, and she was like, you guys can write about anything you want, X, Y, and Z, as long as it has to do with women and women's rights. And I told her I was like, I want to write my essay about Marsha P. Johnson because I think it's interesting how Marsha P. Johnson isn't never mentioned in feminist activism. Like people don't talk about the shit that she's done and how she has shaped shit to make stuff comfortable for trans women and just women in general in society. Like, so I told her that, and she was like, "Oh, I think that's a really good idea." So I'm reading about Marsha P. Johnson, and not only am I reading about Marsha P. Johnson, I'm reading about why trans women realize that they are trans and how that plays a part of society and how okay, basically they were basically saying that feminists are fighting to be treated equally. Okay, we're fighting to be treated equally. Feminists think that you should remove all expectations of women and just let women be and live. So we don't have to be housewives. So we don't have to be, bitches. So we don't have to, so we can do things like vote. So we don't have to be the ones that people look at for nature and nurture. We can just be our full flawed selves at any given moment, at any given time. Feminism basically originated an idea of, you know what, fuck this. We should just be free. There should not be an expectation put on a woman just because I am a woman. I should be able to be myself. I should be able to get given these opportunities. You should not see me and then automatically categorize me. Okay, people still agree with that. Then it gets to the part where TERFs don't agree with. And that's the idea that if we eliminate gender, the idea of gender and what women's expectations are, do trans women not fully fit in that pocket? Think about it. Trans women are some of the biggest like forces against gender and gender society. Right? Women are expected to be this. Trans women are the exact opposite of this. Feminists say we shouldn't have expectations where women are expected to be this, that, and a third. We should have equal opportunities. We should be able to be free in ourselves despite us being born with vaginas. Trans women agree with that. Trans women play into that. They're being whoever they want, whenever they want, however they want, despite the gender identity they were born with. Turfs don't like that. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense that you're fighting for this thing, but then when people who are the literal embodiment of that thing come in and are like, "Hey, we're here," you're like, "Actually, nah." And it's like, nah, you can't be a feminist and be a turf. I don't know how to tell you this. If you're a turf, you're not a feminist. You're not a feminist, okay? That's not what the beliefs are. You are a feminist on your own terms. It's like a thing where I learned in like 10th grade history class when he was talking about belief systems and just like ideology in America. He was basically saying that we can't punish people who have certain beliefs because if we're able to punish that group, then we can punish this group, punish this group, punish this group, and then it's all going to lead to you. If you believe trans women are a dance to society, you believe that they go against the movement, you believe that they are what the gender they were born with, you believe all that shit, why do you not think that that is somehow going to not lead to you as well? If you can do this and dictate someone else's gender, what makes it so that men can't dictate yours? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm getting a little emotional about this, but in the essay, the article I was reading, they were also discussing how feminists, if they do include trans women, they put them to the back of the movement. Like it's just kind of like like yeah, the trans women, like the trans girls, like yeah, like we support them. And then they think about like the real shit, the real shit that women have to face. And the article is basically discussing how trans women aren't seen as they can be, even leaders to this movement. They can have a voice in this movement. It's just such they're treated as a subgenre of this movement that they're the little embodiment of. And I'm getting a little emotional, but it really made me sit down and think about my gender identity and why I choose to be a woman. There are women who weren't born women who gladly love to take the title as being a woman, but why do I agree? Do I agree with the title that was given to me at birth? Because as I also dived into talking about how identity is something that is chosen for us. Like you choose to be the person who's nerdy and you love staying at home and reading books about this, and you're an introvert, and these traits that people associate with you, you chose that. You chose that identity. Versus like gender, it's such a big identity that's just given to us at birth and we just have to figure out our ways into it. And I didn't like that. I could choose every other part of my identity, but the main one, the one that affects me every day, I didn't get to choose. I was just told that I am this and I have to embody this. I don't like that. I don't like that. And I feel like that just awakened something in me that, well, if that's the case, then I don't want to identify with being a woman. I don't like the fact that women are told that we're supposed to be this, where we have to do that, and X, Y, and Z. Now, feminists and women can be like, oh, like, they told women that we have to be in this shoebox, but I see myself as this, that, and the third. I'm not stopping you there. I'm totally not. But for me, and my logical thinking standpoint, I was like, gender is something that was made, something that someone sat down, wrote that this is going to be like this because of this. As much as I personally can be like, oh, like I'm a woman, but I'm not, I don't have to confine, you don't have to play into those things. But I didn't like that because I'm like, I'm a very words have meaning person. And I was like, well, if that's the meaning of a woman, then I don't identify as being a fucking woman. So that's why I realized that I was non binary. And within my journey of being non binary, hold on, I'm like reading the tea. Sorry, I'm reading the tea, y'all. But yeah, and within being non-binary, it's only strengthened. Like my reasoning has only had more substance because I realize with being non-binary, I don't feel like I have to be, this super nurtury, motherly, I'm Aunt Jemima. Like I don't have to play into that. I don't feel like I have to be sucked in that hole of womanhood. I don't feel like I played into like the I'm just a girl trend and anything like that. I feel like I'm very masculine when it comes to how I express myself, in the sense that like I'm I don't want to be, I don't want to do all that, those things. And I feel like it just like when you think yourself as a woman, you feel like you have to be this certain like angel, or you have to be this personification of something. And it's like I don't want to be the, I don't want to have to try to be the best person ever. Men are allowed to be flawed and fucked up, and I should be allowed to be as flawed and as fucked up. I should be able to go through my emotional turbulence. I should be able to go through life not feeling like I have to be the best person in the world. And I feel like that expectation really comes when you're born as a woman, or just identify as a woman in general, like honestly. But being born, I feel like you had to have that innate mindset that like this I have, if everyone in the function is crying, if everyone's feeling down, if someone needs a hug, then I have to be the person that puts myself on the train tracks for this. And like I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And I that might sound like I'm being like just a bitch, or like I just want to be someone that's emotionally distant. It's not that I want to be emotionally distant. I just want to be myself. And I'm just not the kind of person that overextends myself in that way. And it's in the point, to the point of like sacrificing my own emotions. And I feel like when I identify as a woman, I feel like I had to, and now I'm like I don't have to do that shit. I also feel like it innate in my comp head too, because there was still like a wish of like being quote unquote normal. I still, as someone who's non-binary, if a cis straight man flirts with me, I let them know like immediately, like you can't be straight and like me. You can't be straight and like me. And that immediately flocks them away. So I feel like it just got rid of this feeling that maybe one day I'll realize that this girl shit was just a phase, and I'll just end up with my husband and we'll get married and have kids, and I had that anxiety for nothing. Now that's definitely never gonna happen. And it was a process of accepting, but it was an acceptance that needed to be done. Once I accepted that, I felt whole and I felt very content. There's no, oh, but I'm a woman, or like, coming to you as a woman, or, women as women, no, fuck no. So yeah, that's how we got here. And that's why I'm still non binary in 2026. Now, I have been talking for a very long time, very emotional conversation. So I'm just gonna like end the video here. I'm gonna let you guys off my alien spaceship. Comment down below if you have any critiques. Comment down below if you also relate. I just mainly feel like I wanted to make this video just because I feel like there has to be another, you know, oh, me about to cry. I know there has to be like some other little 13-year-old that was feeling the way that I was feeling, and I want them to let them know that this is your future, bitch. I'm gonna let you guys off my spaceship, and I'll see you guys next week on Friday. Bye.